Hey, this is Annie Dickerson with Goodegg Investments. Ready to talk real estate? Let's get cracking. One thing that people ask me about all the time is, when I invest in a real estate syndication, am I really making a better return than if I were to invest in a rental property? I mean, it makes sense, right? With a rental property, you're doing a lot of work. You got to learn how to do it yourself. And then you got to find a broker, find a property manager, put in the paperwork for the lender, all of that stuff you're doing on your own. So surely your returns will be better, right? And that is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. So I have here my property management statements for my personal rental properties. Well, one of them in Huntsville, Alabama, a fourplex that we bought about a year ago. And it's been, hit or miss. Some months are really good. Some months are not so good. And so I wanted to take a look back over the last few months and compare those returns to what I would have gotten had I invested that same amount of money into a real estate syndication. Okay, so this rental property, like I said, is it's in Huntsville, Alabama. It's a fourplex. So that means there's 4 individual units that are rented out between $600 and $700 each. And we purchased this fourplex for $240,000, which I know to those of you who are living in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York sounds crazy to be able to buy 4 units for $240,000, but that's what it was. So $240,000 for 4 units. And so that means we put down right around $50,000 for the property. And our mortgage payments are around $1,350 a month. That includes the principal and the interest. And then together with the taxes as well as the insurance, then our monthly payment comes out to be $1,731 a month. So we have to make sure that the income from the property exceeds $1,731 a month to make this investment make any sort of sense at all, right? Okay, so before I dive into these property management statements, I wanted to just give us a benchmark to compare to. So if I were to put that $50,000 into a real estate syndication with, say, an 8% preferred return, that means that on that $50,000, I should expect around 8% in cash flow distributions per year. So every month, that comes out to about $333. So if this property can do better than $333, then it makes all the work of running and maintaining this rental property worth it. But if I can't make more than $333, then, that real estate syndication really might be a better investment because I'm putting in less work and I'm making more money, which seems like a no-brainer, right? Okay, so $333, that is the number to beat. So it's January of 2019 as I'm making this video, so let's look back over the last 4 months. So first, December of 2018. Now, December of 2018, this property it was fully occupied, but there was one tenant who didn't pay their rent. So we only had 3 rents come in. So the total income was $2,035. Okay, so then we had all these expenses. We have management fees, we have some HVAC service fees, we have some utility fees. And so when we add up all the expenses are $660. So When you take our income of $2,035 minus our expenses of $660, you get $1,375, which sounds great, right? If we could take home $1,375, that would be a great investment. But of course, we can't forget that we still have to pay our mortgage and our insurance and our taxes. Remember, that was $1,731. So unfortunately, in the month of December, we actually lost $356 on this property, meaning it cost us $356 to have this rental property as part of our portfolio in the month of December. All right, let's take a look back 1 month further. So now we've got November of 2018. Okay, so now we're in this month. Unfortunately, we still had that one tenant who was not paying. So they're occupying the property, so we couldn't lease it out to somebody else. We could have evicted them, but at that time we didn't. So we had 3 units that paid in the month of November. And in the month of November, we still had the management fees and the utility fees and all of that. But on top of that, we had an electrical issue that we had to fix. So our total income minus expenses for the month of November came out to $1,270. So when we factored in the amount we had to pay for our mortgage and our taxes and our insurance, then our cash flow for the month of November was actually negative also. It was negative $461. So far it seems like this isn't going so well. But let's take a look back further. Okay, so now we're in October. Okay, so we're stepping back further. In October, fortunately, all 4 units were paying their rent. So that gave us a nice bump up. So all of these units are renting between $600 and $650 each. So for the month of October, with all 4 tenants paying, we had a total of $2,590 in income. And then we had roughly the same expenses as the previous month. So we had $624. And so then our total cash on cash returns were $1,966. And so that's above that $1,731 that we pay for mortgage and taxes and insurance. And so our cash flow is actually positive that month, thank goodness. It was $235. So that means on that property we made $235 that month. But if you remember, we had talked about with that real estate syndication that monthly income is around 8%, 8% per year. And so that comes out to about $333 a month. And so $235, while it's good, it's not quite as good as what I would have made had I invested in the real estate syndication. Okay, 1 more month. Let's take a look at 1 more month. This is the month of September. Now, in the month of September, all 4 units paid. Yay! Okay, so all 4 units paid, and we didn't have any significant maintenance issues. And in fact, they were quite minimal. And so we had a total income of $2,688. And then the expenses that month were pretty low. They were $371, making our total cash on cash for that property for the month of September $2,317. which when you factor in the mortgage and the insurance and the taxes, then our total cash flow was $586 for that month. So in the month of September, we made $586, which is more, it's over $250 more than we would have made had we invested in a real estate syndication. But again, that is just for the month of September. If you remember, the month of October was okay, the month of November, negative, and the month of December, also negative. And so that's really the point I wanted to drive home, is that if you're looking for stability with a minimal amount of work, that is what a real estate syndication really provides you. Is if I were to put that $50,000 into a real estate syndication, I could be fairly certain that I would be getting my $333 per month, as long as all things go according to plan. But with a rental property, you know, there's ebbs and flows. You know, some months there will be more income, and some months, you know, there might be maintenance issues that wipe out your cash flow. And so that's exactly what we see on our rental properties. And so certainly you could buy a rental property that is stabilized and that gives you sort of that same stable income as a real estate syndication. But in my experience, if you're buying in a developing area, so those B and C class properties, there is some of this work to be done along the way, because you are going to see some of that tenant turnover, and you're going to run into some of those maintenance issues. And so that's it. Those are the two things that we're comparing here today. We've got the real estate syndications on one hand, low work, pretty stable month-to-month income. And then on the other hand, we've got the rental properties. There's a potential for greater income, especially once you've stabilized the property and over the long term. But as you can see, month to month, there can be a lot of work and there can be some ups and downs. So you'll have to be comfortable with some months having no cash flow and some months having negative cash flow. You'll have to put more money into the property. And so is there a right answer for everyone? Definitely not. As you can see, I do a little bit of both. I tend towards the real estate syndication side of things. I like that better because with two young kids, you know, I prefer no muss, no fuss kind of investing. But I also see the benefits of investing in rental properties too. It just happens to be more work and not always predictable. So I hope that has given you some insight into a real life property. So I hope that helps as you are making the decision as to what is the best path for you. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, have a sunny side up day.